Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. And this is Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
we're reviewing Bad Girls, which is from season 5 of Laverne Shirley, directed by Joel Zwick and written by Barry Rabinowitz. Chris has definitely probably got some facts about these folks coming later on in the podcast.
Indeed, indeed.
Here's what the episode's about. When Edna's teenage niece Vicki moves to town, the girls try to cure new girl loneliness by introducing her to the members of their old social club, the Angora Debs. While Laverne's previous legendary behavior gets Vicki in, they quickly learn that since Laverne Shirley graduated Fillmore High, Debs have become a girl gang which participate in thievery. When Laverne threatens to call the cops on the little brats, the Debs retaliate by ransacking the girls' apartments. Can Laverne and Shirley figure out a way to turn the girls around while successfully adopting out a bunch of tiny kittens? What do you think about this one?
Well, it would have been nice if Jack Hill had directed this, but I suppose Joel Zwick could do a fine job. Yeah, this was one I feel a little torn on this in two ways, because I feel like it's going to be one that I am going to enjoy talking about more necessarily than I did watching it. There's a lot of really cute stuff, and then there's some also this is really leaning into after school special territory.
Yeah, the way it is. This episode is very fluffy, kid friendly. It's not quite as after school specially as stuff like, I don't know, Slow Child, but which I love, I like, but it's up there when it comes to special episode territory. This does feel like be a good person, don't fall under peer pressure, and find someone who likes you for you instead of the horrible crimes you've abetted.
Yeah,
there's ways.
Yeah, it's an episode that, and so far this season has had a lot of morality play in general.
Yeah.
It feels like, with upstairs, downstairs, you push me too far. What do you do with a drunken sailor? Mm-hmm. And then this one especially feels very much like, it's and the message of the episode isn't bad. I mean, the idea of it's the quality of your friends, not the quantity of them is enough. And, the sort of the ending exclamation point or punctuation mark at the end is like, oh, that's sweet, but it feels very, I don't know. It's just, there's a corniness to the way in which it gets there that feels very, feels very childish to me. And so I don't know. It's like, I don't hate it, but at the same time, I kind of cringe through parts of it. It feels like.
Yeah. It's almost too sugary sweet, but to me, a lot of it does work because they leave in it with bits of humor that work. The works rather. Mm-hmm. The way they introduce Terry is very good. The way they use the boys is hilarious, even though the rape joke at the end, we'll get back to that, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And they managed to add a high enough number of winks and asides to prevent it from just drowning the audience in Caro syrup. So it's not as bad as it could be in a lot of ways. To me, this is an okay episode. It's okay. It's not, the worst, but it is decent enough. I like a lot of different things about it. E.G. Daly is very good.
Yes.
As the lead Deb here, so to speak. Mm-hmm. She's got that pugnacious swagger that is going to end up serving her well as her career goes on. Mm-hmm. Already in this episode. I like a lot of little things, like the girls trying to get the kittens out of their apartment. They give one to Frank. Everything about that seems really cute.
Yeah, all the kitten stuff is great to the point that could have been its own episode, but it does work to really help sweeten the episode, this particular story itself. And it has another interesting element of the whole nature versus nurture thing, because you literally are are you give the kittens to a good home is being literally illustrated by they have to try to get Vicki to the right home as well. She's another lost kitten.
Yep. It's very metaphorical.
Right.
And of course, it's Shirley being mother hen again.
Yes.
Shirley with tuna in her shoes, leading home all the lost strays. Shirley trying to make sure the Debs are running correctly. Shirley trying to force these kids into boot camp in a way so that they will behave like the way she thinks that they should. So
Yeah, my
yeah.
my note about that is whether it made me think of like imagining Cheryl as like the Leslie Knope of the Angora Debs during her tenure there.
Yes, she is such a Leslie Knope in this episode. Yes, she is very, very much in mom mode. She's very much a brownie leader in a lot of ways. Get those mops and get them moving. No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not necessarily, all these things there are many of these good things. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't know if it's the dialogue per se. Like there's a lack of naturalism to it. Like it feels very like stagey. Like we're gonna do this thing. Like it feels, I don't know. The structure feels almost too damn clean in some respects.
Yeah, no way.
No.
It works better. It works better for me. I think it does work better for me because the performances really sell it, in my dumb opinion.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, does that actually fly us into in front of / behind the camera notes?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so we'll go for the in front of the camera notes, the actor notes, because as we mentioned already, E.G. Daily, most well known as the one and only Dottie in Pee-wee. Yay! She's a loner, a rebel, but in this episode. But she, for folks of my generation, we also know E.G. Daily as the voice of Tommy Pickles, Buttercup on the old Powerpuff Girls, Bobby Morris on Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and a kabillion other projects. But this was an awesome, great get for this episode. This was actually her second role and first for a TV show before her long and illustrious career. And she's also in Streets of Fire, so she always gets a thumbs up from me.
Yes.
There are 3 other notable guest appearances in this episode. Now, unfortunately, the 2 former Debs that show up that are the kind of wrestler types do not get credit, unfortunately. My suspicion is one or both of them probably are also in the episode that follows because they do have that kind of tall stunt woman build, and we'll get to that next week. But then we have Tracy Reiner as one of the Debs, and so the Shover returns. She plays another character after her turn as Helen, the girl who likes shoving and tag team wrestling. Tracy, as we may have mentioned before, went on to typically act in projects that her mother Penny Marshall directed or was somehow involved with, though she also would sometimes pop up in something like Die Hard or as Mary Hayes, daughter to Bill Paxton's Fred Hayes in Apollo 13. Now, Tracy, this is her second appearance on the show before her final character part in season 7.
Yes.
And then we have Judy Pioli returning as Terry Buttafuoco. I was super happy to see her. This was she played the character first in Tag Team Wrestling as well, and will show up once more in season 7. Mostly, we know her as one of the key writers on seasons 3, 4, and 5, and she was also responsible for the next episode coming up. So that's worth looking forward to. And then actor-wise, that brings us up to Vicki, the main gal of the episode, kind of our protagonist along with the girls, who is played by Michelle Green. She would later get a rather major recurring role on the show L.A. Law in the mid-1980s through 1991. She played the character Abby. Aside from that, she would mostly do TV roles for an episode, sometimes get a regular recurring part for a season or 2. As of this recording, her last role is in 2011, so I'm not sure if she's just retired or if she just, kind of got pushed out of the business, or just, sometimes actors, they work, but they just can't get the parts that they want, and they just they just keep waiting. So who knows? Cool detail, though. If you were a fan of LA Law, about a year ago, they did a big cast reunion over Zoom. Then the whole video of that is up on YouTube. So Michelle's in the bunch of them. So like Jimmy Smits is in there and other actors from that show. What was his name? Corbin Burnson and all those folks. So if you're an LA Law fan, go take a look at that. That's a good one. So for this episode, this episode directed by, well, I was going to I already made my Jack Hill joke, but so I'll just say, so even though Joel may not be the Grindhouse du jour director, as we know, he did do a ton of TV shows, including many of them that had him reuniting with staff members of the Laverne and Shirley crew. Among those are the first episode of Full House, co-directed by Jeff Franklin, who worked on the episode coming up next week, and the majority of Shake It Up, which was written and created by Chris Thompson, one of the main writers and producers on Laverne and Shirley. The episode, we mentioned Barry Rabinowitz. This is actually the first time I think we've seen his name in a bit, but this he has one more episode left for the show as a writer. He started really working in the writer's room basically during all of season 4, But we saw his name come up here and there. I think season 2, I think, is where I first really spotted him.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yes.
So, trivia note for this episode, which I'll have a link below. I recommend going to this link cautiously because this website is so old that it looks like its security certificate probably expired a decade or two ago. But Bear Rabinowitz still has a website up at betatesters.com. It is 1999 as heck, and it is adorable. The about page it is so humble and cute, and I've been meaning to mention this for a while because I discovered this like 6 months ago. So.
Oh, God, I didn't even know that he had that. I also absolutely did not recognize Michelle in LA Law. That is so cool. That's probably one of my favorite factoids. That really is probably one of them. I have a behind-the-scenes anecdote from this episode as well. So you're probably wondering what happened to all the little kittens that were on the set.
Yes.
Of this episode.
Yes.
Apparently, they were given away to certain audience members. They were given away backstage as well. That's an anecdotal story that I heard from someone who was in the audience for the taping of this episode. So take it with a little grain of salt, but that's apparently what happened to all the kittens.
So fingers crossed they all went to good homes and had super nice, fluffy kitten lives that then grew up into wonderful cats that were able to roam and frolic and scratch up posts and I don't know, poop in litter boxes and kill dangerous mice and...
Yes.
And make machine gun noises at birds through the window.
Yes. Any of them lived a better life than they would have lived in fiction as a cat of Carmine Ragusa.
Oh God, yeah. That is admittedly it's that whole it's like that's my first that actually is my first episode note is Carmine, you suck. Take the kitten.
I can't blame him because it's his responsibility, and obviously we never see these kittens again, so we know what happened to them. So, yeah, but the idea of giving Carmine a kitten is amusing to me.
Yeah.
Because it's the idea plus he's a tomcat, so,
Yeah, no, exactly.
Laverne's wearing a season 1 outfit.
I was going to comment on that. That was great to see again.
Yes, proof that the girls recycle their wardrobe, which is very nice, but we haven't seen this outfit in a very, very long time. And it was very iconic in season 1. And all of a sudden she's back in it all the way in season 5. So it's a nice little callback, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a callback to the Angora Debs song multiple times, which is always nice to hear. Complete with several full performances of it.
Indeed,
really,
yeah.
really funny.
Which reminds me about something. We're kind of going through kind of the major like callbacks and stuff. It was a little weird we didn't see or hear of Rosie for this one.
Yeah, I know. This is yet another episode where the lack of Rosie Greenbaum is notable and startling.
Mm-hmm. God, just
it's
any
really, yeah. Sorry,
I was gonna say just any of the Debs from the bridal shower would have been good.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see Terry, but we could have used more Debs. We really could have used more Debs.
All Debs, all the time. Which is, and the funniest thing is, we're making Jack Hill references because of the movie Switchblade Sisters, which I sadly haven't seen in like 7 years. But as it turns out, the girl gang in Switchblade Sisters is called the Dagger Debs. I forgot about that.
They are. Yes, they are. And the rival gang is the Jezebels, unless I'm completely insane.
I think the Jezebels is one, and then I think it's the Matrons is another one.
Yes, that's right. The main rival of the Jezebels, I think.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, the Matrons might be the ones that are at the roller derby sequence.
Yeah. Which is completely insane. It's so many years since I've seen this movie, but a lot of what stands out to me is they're in the roller rink and just shooting at each other.
Yeah.
It's like,
God.
It's the most Jack Hill thing I can think of.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry for the Grindhouse interlude, folks, but for those of you that like your girl gang movies from the 1970s, Switchblade Sisters, kick ass. Go watch that movie.
Yes. What's interesting to me, this set of Debs apparently play baseball. We constantly see them in baseball gear, which is an interesting little factor. I was like, geez, what the heck are they doing? When they're not causing immense crimes, they're off playing on the baseball diamond. So there's just a mental image, if nothing else.
I wonder also if it partly was like the wardrobe department, like being told, well, like West Side Story, they always had those baseball sneakers and jeans and like, I don't know, like
So many West Side Story references.
yeah,
It's just like, why?
I don't know, but it definitely it was funky in that way. It like that's why it definitely felt like an after school special. Like it's like after we finish roughing up Mr. Lippincott, we're gonna go hit the diamond and knock some home runs. Yeah.
Yeah. Raw. I absolutely have to point out the tarantulas.
Yes.
The rival gang, the Debs of the tarantulas, which is hilarious. I want to know more about the social scene that these women grew up in. Because, God, can you imagine? You're sitting there and you're in a feud with a bunch of hairy-legged teenagers who are willing to play pranks on you, and you do the same in return. This is like, I want to know more.
You're mummifying people. You have to have specific teeth marks on a fudgicle stick for a lockpick. The couch is called the launching pad because it launches so many romances. And I love the detail of that must have been so romantic. Your first kiss, Cheryl's like, no, he smiled and he kissed my teeth because I smiled or whatever. And it's
I smiled and he kissed my teeth.
That's right. Yeah, I've actually kind of done that before. So
yeah. It's sweet though. It's sweet in a way. It's very sweet. And I love you have this rowdy, unprincipled group of girls who are making out on the couch. They're doing all this stuff. And Shirley keeps a scrapbook. An organized club scrapbook, which of course she does. She loves her scrapbook. She loves her albums. The Feeney Family album resurfaces in this episode.
That's right, yes.
And she loves this album. She loves it so much. So we're talking about how organized Shirley is in this episode. She's hyper-organized in so many different ways. This is her in active Annie mode to the nth degree. It's absolutely the nth degree. She is just micromanaging everything, pushing everything, trying to get this all done. So it's not surprising to me she had this scrapbook. She wants the scrapbook organized. She wants it taken care of by these girls. She wants pictures in it. It's the most her thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, as we always say, there's that that element of kind of the control freak. She has to craft her, because that's the thing, right? The scrapbook allows her to create her narrative. It is the writings of history. So yep.
Or to put all of her memories in a place where she can find them and see them, versus having them all be completely wiped away by her father's drinking and carousing and being never around. So Laverne narks on a teenager in this episode.
She claims to, and then it turns out she was just doing it as an act. But but still, yeah. That's my son. All caps notice. Laverne, don't narc.
Mine is just narc. Laverne.
And I love the way Shirley then says, "You aren't really going to call the cops, are you?" It's like there's something really wonderfully casual at the way she says it that was very like, okay, this was her coming back down to like, hey, whoa, we're not gonna do that, right? Unless like gasp, pearl clutching.
Yeah. And then, of course, somehow the girls finally give away the kittens, and Shirley ends up with a dog.
Yes, without a tail.
It's hilarious. And of course, the anecdote about Donna, one of the Debs who got pregnant by her parole officer,
right?
Marries.
I love that. That exchange is great. That is definitely very Barry Rabinowitz, and it's a good. That's a solid exchange.
Well, I knew she got pregnant.
The way your mind works.
Yes. Yeah. And then we get to the point. We get to Deb headquarters. The girls' apartment has been completely ransacked, and everybody starts walking in the room for this gang rumble with these teenagers like they're in West Side Story. I don't know why. Who chose to do that? Was it in the script? Was it a directing idea? Every time I think about this, I laugh.
That was the part that like made me cringe, because I guess what I didn't like was that it was. I guess I liked how Terry did her own take on it because she's kind of like,
Yeah.
she's gangly and, and she's wearing denim. She's wearing a type of denim that's not really easy to, her jumpsuit's not really super flexible. But I don't know. It's like I would have liked that they all had their own unique entrance rather than all trying to mimic the same entrance,
Yeah. I love how stompy she is. I love how slumpy she is. I love that two of the Debs became pro wrestlers. That's yet more wrestlers that the girls know, which is really funny to me. For some reason, they know a lot of professional wrestlers at this point, don't they? It's at least like 1, 2, 3, about 4 or 5 people now.
Yep. And I do love the where Shirley's like, oh, did you have trouble getting a babysitter, to one of them?
That's adorable. That's adorable. One of the junior Debs here almost cracks up when Terry enters, and Judy just nails the delivery about having punched the wall, punched the door. After I punched it, and one of the girls almost loses it. She kind of turns away from the camera. Look for that, folks. Next time you watch the episode, you'll see it. And of course, this brings us up to the boys, or the semi-ladies.
Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting way to shore up the ranks, that was for sure.
Yeah. Part of this works because the boys are so happy and at home in drag. They're having so much fun. What happens in the tag scene does not work. We'll get to that in a bit. But I love that this is a rare hello gag where the girls actually invite them in. Say hello, girls. Hello. I have no idea why Lenny wants to swap blouses unless he doesn't want to get dirty or bloody.
Oh, no. It's an excuse for them to see them topless.
Oh, God. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You had...
They're only 15.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. Sorry, but that's the thing that immediately came to mind is that's the way the male mind, the cishet male mind works.
Yeah. That's a rare pedo Lenny moment. We don't ever really get those, and that's the only one I can think of that ever happens.
Yeah.
We actually refuted it last season. Well, actually, that was was last season. That was last season. But yeah, and that line is always made me raise an eyebrow. And it's like, what are stupid pout?
Yeah, and
Mika looks hot in drag.
Yeah. Yeah, I was waiting for that. And
he just looks good.
And I love they went full Some Like It Hot. It's super cute, and it made me actually kind of like want to see what would happen if the writers would do a full episode with the two boys, in this type of situation. But at the same time, I also be terrified of what they would do with it at the same time.
Yeah, especially what happens in this tag scene. Once again, folks, we'll get to it.
We'll get there. Yeah. You did have the thing to point out about the blouses, the clothes, and clearly the thing on Lenore's blouse.
He's got clearly wearing Laverne's clothing. That's an L on his chest there. That's clearly her top. And the pedal pushers, you'll notice the pedal pushers he's wearing, they look like women's slacks that would come down to Laverne's ankle if she was wearing them. But on him, they come right up above the ankle. So and they look like pedal pushers. So it was a nice detail. Once again, the boys wearing the girls' clothing, and the girls wear the boys' clothing. I thought that was really cute. And that would bring us towards the end of the episode. The Debs have cleaned up the apartment, and Shirley tries to give her big speech. I love that she's worked up this huge speech and just falls on deaf ears. And they go off to be juvenile criminals, but they manage to get Vicki back. And of course, the only other nice girl is played by Tracy Reiner.
Yep.
She gets to be a good girl, too. And they presumably get to foster a friendship that's like Laverne and Shirley's. That's cheesy, but it's cute. And I like any episode that values the friendship element between the girls.
Yeah.
I will.
It's the idea of sisterhood, hopefully begetting more sisterhood, where you're able to pass on the lesson of I value my friend, and if you find someone that you like, you should value that friendship as well. And two against the world.
It's very much two against the world. Doing them. And it's too bad that they didn't go. I guess they realized it would be too saccharine if all the girls agreed with Shirley and they agreed to be nice and turn the Debs back into what the Debs used to be when they were younger. So in a way, it works. In a way that cuts through the sugar that you were complaining of.
Yeah, it does. I think it's I think it does. I don't know. It just there's something getting there. I don't know. I think it's just I grew up on a lot of I grew up on mostly 90s television, and 90s television had a lot of episodes like this about the watch out for the bad influences. I was terrified about being around bad influences when I was a child. Oh my God, this kid I'm around, they're gonna make me catcall. Which actually a kid did teach me how to do that when I was 6. So
it's like they'll get you drunk and make you use drugs for my generation.
Right.
There were so many anti-drinking and anti-drunk driving PSAs for people my age who grew up watching sitcoms. That episode of Family Ties where Alex's friend dies and we go into our town for some reason. The Growing Pains episode where Carol's boyfriend just dies abruptly in an accident, even though he seems fine because he drove drunk. There was an episode of The Cosby Show that had PSA about that. So yeah, there was a lot of moralism back then, trying to ensure the safety of the youth of America.
Yeah, it's just I guess in comparison to season 4, which had so much kind of almost vaudevillian bodiness to it in places.
It's more freewheeling,
Yeah, it's interesting to see that sort of snapback. And, clearly the actors are very comfortable with these parts. They're having a lot of fun with it. And I think that they find it's important. So, whatever it's discussing. And so I'm kind of curious how, where some of this came from, if this was just a push from the producers, is this some from the network? But, just like I feel it really strongly here about like, there is the sense of like, how Mr. Science Theater will sometimes do the joke of like, here comes the message, and it's right there on the nose, and
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of something ABC mandated. I think it's something that Gary believed in using his shows to try to promote safety and promote good fellowship among men. I mean, he did stuff like this in Happy Days.
Oh, yeah.
Where we had that episode where Richie almost dies in an accident because he and Lori Beth are hot dogging it on a bike, a motorcycle. We had the episode where Fonzie goes blind and has to deal with blindness. There's episodes where he dates girls who have different, I think he dates a blind girl at one point. But,
and then also the episode that Carmine guested in where Joni joins a gang and ends up, that they try to assault her and then has to do a big rescue and etc. And and at the very, and here's the thing, at the very least, this was handled in a more realistic fashion because they are still just kids. They're not, felonious, ne'er-do-wells that deserve a punch in the face or anything. And so it doesn't lead into some bizarre slapstick, like, hey, we're going to have Ralph Mouth, get, punched in the face. And Carmine, the big Ragu, is going to just suddenly pop out of nowhere to make the audience cheer. But
it sounded so awkward. Every single Carmine cameo on Happy Days is handled so awkwardly because they insist on having Eddie enter the scene dancing.
Yeah,
I am not sure if we've discussed this before on the show, but it happens in every single episode.
I've only seen that one episode, and I've seen the little bits of him from the Fonzie's funeral episode. I'm terrified of going to the others at this point. He's gonna sing, he's gonna dance, and it's like, I don't know. It might just be, and this might be one reason I'm kind of grouchy about this, is I haven't watched enough of my usual thing. I haven't watched enough explosions or horrible monstrosities tearing people limb from limb, and so I just I need the darkness and the sweet the sweet well-meaning and earnestly executed tenderness of this episode might just be. It might just, it's sort of like when you've had a little too much sweet, a little too much normal. And my brain is like, what is this crap? But, at the very least, there, cause we're getting into pros and cons kind of in general sense. We do have to get to the tag scene in a second, but,
yes.
But I feel like it's one of the things for instance to like about it is that I do like that Laverne and Shirley are absolutely on the same side through the entire situation. They have different ways of trying to go about it, but even when Laverne hears out Shirley's plan, she realizes, it helped me, maybe it's going to help them. and
Yeah.
not having to bicker necessarily about it. Like, you know, there's awkwardness, but they don't have to like fight. Like, I'm imagining like if it was you know, either like a Jeff Franklin episode or Babalu Mandel or somebody that would have had more bitterness or kind of trickery involved, you know. And here there's a real, I guess I was saying, just kind of honesty about it. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about this. I have no idea what I'm even going to rank it at this point. Currently.
I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to rank it. I'm probably going to end up going higher than you, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So let's talk about the tag scene. We're so tired, audience. We're so tired of the rape jokes. We're so tired. This is the only thing the show does consistently wrong, in our opinion. I think consistently. I think we can go with consistently about this being wrong.
Yeah, I think it's the one that they handled the worst.
Yeah.
You know, because it is consistently really bad. Because even in the one episode it should have been treated horrifically, it was not.
Yeah.
And it was used to then give a heroic moment to the boys that they didn't deserve and didn't earn.
Yep.
And so, yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, as the the vernacular of our time states, because it's a rape joke, it's a gay panic, and it's the boys dressed up as girls without them necessarily being homosexual. It comes off as homophobic, transphobic, and all of and misogynist, all in one go.
Rape culture.
And pro rape culture. All at once.
Yep. All in one gesture.
Yep.
It's a mess. And it's a shame because the boys, the way they treat the boys in drag is almost progressive in the main body of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're enjoying it. They don't mind being in drag. They don't mind showing off. They ask the girls which one of them is prettier. And all of that and the way they handle that is good. And then we get to the tag scene in which the boys were supposed to go to the YWCA to try to get a room. I don't know why. Just because of the boys, I suppose. And they get picked up by some sailors who are big spenders. And it gets to the point of the evening where they're supposed to put out. And obviously they cannot put out these guys because they think that they are cis women and they are not cis women. And they go to the girls for advice, and the girls almost relish the notion of the boys getting sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really creepy as shit. But considering everything the boys put them through, considering what Laverne went through in Bully Show, it's almost understandable that they would want them to know what it's like, what they put them through. But this is worse than anything they put them through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like nobody wins. Nobody wins in this tag scene. The only part of this that I consistently laugh at is the moment where Michael kind of looks up, and as Lenny goes, "Oh, if it was only the music that they have to face." That's the only thing that even gets a mild chuckle out of me. Because God, the girls are so excited that the guys are going to get groped and beaten up by sailors. It's just like weirdly creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to hear them yelling, "I'm not that kind of a girl. I'm not that kind of a girl."
Yeah.
In the hallway, and it's like, it's a mess. It's it's less progressive than Some Like It Hot, and Some Like It Hot was released in the 50s. So 50s.
I thought it was 57, 58, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep. Somewhere around there. Some Like It Hot is more progressive than this moment, and it's just baseball.
Yeah, it's from 20 years prior. I mean, yikes.
Yeah. And it's a real shame because like I said, everything else about how the boys treat being in drag is progressive, especially for them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for the way they've treated gender roles before this. I mean, they have a song called "Only Women Cry." When men get upset, they just throw up.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate. It's a mess, and it's unfortunate.
Yep, that's easily the biggest con of the episode for me as well. Yeah, it's such a downer. God. And there's even that line Laverne says, we are dealing with some real sickos about the situation. It's like, God.
It's up there where they're constantly saying that she doesn't like foreigners, which keeps coming up, and I was like, why is she saying this? Why is she saying her grandma's a foreigner? Her grandma's a foreigner who barely speaks English, and it's like, what? Why are you gonna keep having these words come out of her mouth, Joe? It makes no sense for her. But yeah. I know we're hearing the show with modern ears, viewers, but sweet, fancy Moses. Like, they could have handled this so much better.
And not to mention, aren't we technically in the range of elder millennials at this point? So shouldn't these people saying, "Oh, it's modern ears"? Shouldn't those people just go themselves at this point? Because like,
no, we're geriatric millennials. We're
geriatric. Sorry, that's right. That's the offensive term. I couldn't remember which one was the offensive term.
Yeah.
Oh God,
yeah.
Geriatric.
It's like when you're 40 and you hear the words geriatric pregnancy, and you're like, "F you."
Oh God, it's just I love the fun. I was trying to be good, and now at the end, it's just like, screw it. This is an explicit screw it. It's like get off our podcast, you stupid old timers. Saying that we're
youngins and the Steven universes, and they're listening to the No Doubts.
Oh wait, though, but
this is bleep that, and it'll be non-explicit anyway.
Yeah, whatever. I'm too tired to make the note. I'll either make the note or I won't. I don't care anymore. Anyway,
I'll care eventually. I'll care again. We'll care later.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but pros and cons. I mean, so like really laid out. Okay, the kittens are great. Yes. Carmine does at least take the kitten, even if we don't see it again, even though it's really sad. But this is a TV show, and I completely expected that. The whole scene of trying to get Frank to have the kitten, and Shirley's kitten voice is cute. The one hanging off of Penny's blouse, I really wanted. It's hanging off her boob. Let's be real here. It's adorable, and I also really give her credit for keeping a poker face through that, because those claws look sharp. Any part of your anatomy that thing was on was not going to be comfortable. Those are great. Vicki is a great character. I would love to have seen her again. She's very Edna-ish to me. Like, you could see the family resemblance in her behavior and her attitude.
Yes.
She's kind of got she's got the spunkiness. Yeah. All of the Deb stuff is good. It's just very after school special. I would have both written and directed this far better to just be more, because what's natural and realistic is great. There are parts of this which are so good. It feels like, I don't know if maybe just Joel dropped the ball here and directed it real corny. I don't know what happened here, but it just doesn't, for the most part, it doesn't work as well as I wish it did, because it is a bit corny and saccharine. The rape humor is kind of bleh. Yes. There's a lot of jokes in this that don't land as well for me as I wish they did. Part of it's they're too telegraphed in places. Like the thing of like, now the speech, no, not yet. And then when she's actually needed, she doesn't stand up. It's way too telegraphed, and it goes too long. So it's
a lot of this works better for me than it does for you. I didn't find it quite as corny as you do. I like that whole running joke about Donna and her going off and marrying her probation officer. The boys in drag is handled really well until we get to the tag scene. A lot of it works pretty well and hangs together pretty well, and it works as a linear storyline. I don't mind that kind of corny saccharine kind of stuff, because, hey, it's the Marshallverse. This is what we do. Sometimes we give in to the corn, sometimes we give in the cheese, and we make a casserole out of it. And we eat it up for dinner.
Is this the part where I remind everybody that I'm lactose intolerant?
Oh, dear. And I'm sitting right next to a big thing of Boston cream pie, so...
Oh. Honey, I love you, but how dare you?
How dare my intestines function? I don't know. My whole head's gonna stuff up, so it's like a lateral move, really. You really think about it.
Oh, jeez.
But to be serious about things, on the negative side of it, I want to give a shout out to E.G. Daly's performance as in the good column. She's really good. She's really confident. She's very good. Mm-hmm. And Tracy Reiner's very good with what she gets to do. Mm-hmm. So, hat tip to all of them. All the juvenile actresses that they used are very good. So, they're notable, and that's worth noting. On this in the negative column, we got that tag scene, which is extremely uncomfortable and gets more uncomfortable as the years pass by. It's just not funny. is just not funny at all. Everything else honestly just works for me. Maybe the pacing is a little wobbly. Otherwise everything it's not a bad episode to me except for that tag scene. I'm marking it down mainly for the tag scene. Because messy.
Okay. I guess that gets us to a ranking then, eh?
That sure does.
Uh,
You want to go first?
I,
You want me to give you more time?
I'm good. 6.5.
Okay. Yeah. I figured you were going to go lower than I am. This is just about 7 for me. For me, 7. I have to go a little bit higher for you because I really like everything else about the episode except for the tag scene. The tag scene keeps it from the higher echelon. I in fact encourage people to shut off their DVDs before you get to the tag scene, just something I almost never do. It's something I never ever do. God, it's not a good time. Everything else in the episode is a decent fun time. It's not an essential one, but it's a cute one, and it's okay. So
Yeah,
that's my final verdict.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, so does that, I guess that covers everything for today then, eh?
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us. And if you would like to know more, please have us along on your Facebook at Night After Night Pod. We're also on WordPress, Tumblr, Patreon, YouTube, or Night After Night PC is where we can be reached a little bit more directly. We do like watch-alongs and post, GIFs and post links and other kinds of communications with other people in the fandom. And if you would like to get in touch, those are good ways to, learn more about the program, or just, drop us a line, and make sure you leave a comment below and subscribe if you're watching the YouTube version of this. So, moving onward though, for this next episode, I can't quite see where we are. We're somewhere. Lisa, where are we now?
Wow, in the army, of course. The girls get fed up as they're passed over multiple times for promotions, and they decide to join the army instead, and shenanigans ensue. And so does Vicki Lawrence, y'all! Vicki Lawrence makes her first appearance!
Yay!
That's next week. We're in the army now, parts 1 and 2.
All right. Well, join us for that next time. Tin Hut!
Bye, y'all. Remember just one thing. Sooner or later, every woman's bound to find out. The only thing a man's got below his belt is clay feet.
Hey-o.